Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show how to use the Springboot application and then how to deploy that Springboot application into Kubernetes cluster. I do not have a real, I will not be able to show the real demo of how to deploy the Kubernetes cluster because it needs like a Jenkins pipeline and Kubernetes cluster as well. But here, let me just show you from the Springboot perspective how the structure looks like. Here I have three different folders: K8s Kubernetes configuration, K8s pipeline Rancher. We use a third-party company called Rancher. Then through Rancher, we will be deploying the application to the Kubernetes clusters. Then Kubernetes folders. As usual, you might know Spring Boot will have source folder, main folder and test folder. Let me expand this main and then resources folder. And before that, we have three different Kubernetes related folders here. Let me expand this one. Then here we have the name folder name is K8s configuration, and under that I have one more folder which will be name of your application. And then below that you need to create the ABC, which is nothing but your company name hyphen DNS, the domain name service.com. And then if you are exposing your application to the external world, then you don't need to keep hyphen DNS. It will be just like abc.com. And then under that you need to create dev, prod, UAT, IT, QA, whatever the environments you have for your projects. Then you could create each folder for each environment. Each environment should have this config map file, deployment, destination rule, gateway, HPA, service, TCP, virtual service. This is exactly same as my project in my organization. So I have just created the same name, same folder, but I will not be able to put the complete details here due to security reason. Okay, so let's take an example of the prod folder. Prod is nothing but the production. So the config map, we need to have the config map for sure for the Kubernetes clusters. So this Kubernetes cluster, what it does is it will read the config map.yaml file for the configurations like key value pair, which we are defining it here. So it will go and read the key and value and then take it from here. If it is not able to find any of the key value pair here, then as usual we use under the resource folder, we will be using application.yaml file. It will go and look into the application.yaml file. So this config map.yaml file, what it does is like it just reads, Kubernetes just reads this file and then take the value. So how this will be useful is like suppose in your production deployment, if you want to change any of the key value pair here, if you want to add a new key or if you want to change the existing key value, then you can change it on the fly on the Kubernetes cluster itself. You don't need to deploy the application again. You don't need to change it in the application.yaml file and then do it, build it and deploy it again. You do not need to do it. So what you need to do, just in the Kubernetes cluster, you have to go and just go to the variables. I'll show you that part later. Then you can change the value if you want to change anything. Then you can just you have the option in Kubernetes cluster. You can just do the redeploy. So it will redeploy on the fly itself. It will kill all the existing Kubernetes cluster, Kubernetes pods, and then it will create the new pod. So that is just an easy thing. So that's the main reason this config map.yaml file. Use of this config map.yaml file. And then gateway and all, you need to provide the gateway for your applications entry point. Then here we have the ingress STO, which is nothing but the like a routing mechanism. So how it should route your application via proxy. So here we are using ISTIO. Some people use the Kong. There are a lot of other third-party available there. So people use differently for different projects. So here I have given the example. So here you need to mention the metadata annotation and then spec. Selector is nothing but the STO. And then servers, you should mention the server name host name, port name, port number, protocol. And then this ISTIO manages the TLS as well. So here you have given the TLS and host name port again, and then TLS. So likewise, you need to configure it in the gateway.yaml file. So when you work on the real projects, you will understand this setup. You do not need to create it. It will be like done by the your existing resources. If you need to create the new one, then you can just do it this way. Yeah, and then so I did not fill most of the other files. It's big. It contains a lot of other key value pairs. I have just created the folder and file name here. But this is the main thing: config map and then deployment.yaml file, gateway.yaml file. So likewise, you need to have the files for dev and UAT other environments that you are having, and then this will be done. The deployment will be done through Jenkins pipeline, as we all know about it. Let me just open the Jenkins file. Here I have created the Jenkins file. So Jenkins file has a lot of configurations here. So let me just open here. So here it starts from at library, pipeline, library at master, import, you do this import, and then this is where it starts: pipeline, agent, none. So it does not run the agent on directly on the Jenkins. So it is depending on Kubernetes clusters, Kubernetes containers. So this part is here in this section. So this is mentioned to send out the notification using these hooks, web hooks, to the users, so to the developers, if there is any failure occurring during that build. So here the environment is nothing but this is understandable. The environment we need to give the line of business, deployment version, image name. Is image means it's nothing but the Docker image. So it creates a Docker image and then push it to the registry. And then application in SonarQube is for the code coverage. So this gets the credentials from the configurations file and then use it. So this is where it starts the stages. So here we need to write the stages, and then underneath that we need to use a stage and then agent as well. So this stage does the building part. Under this one we have always we should be using the Kubernetes easy agents. Does the work for us. Easy template is nothing but the Java, and then this does the Maven build, and then here this part does the Docker build and push. It will build the Docker image and push it to the registry. And then scanning part, this is scans part. This does the parallel execution. Sonar analysis, as we know that code coverage, it does the code coverage part of the complete application. And then this part is nothing but security scan. We have a Fortify analysis and then we have a black text. So we use both of them to find out the security vulnerabilities within our application. If you come down, then this stage is for the deploy to the dev, this deployment part, and then here K8s deploy to the dev environment. This is where the exact Kubernetes parts. So container is nothing but the kubectl and then stash and then K8s deploy. So we need to it needs this key value pairs to read it, and then image name, the like deployment version, deploy green, everything. So this just stashes and unstashes using this command. And then once that deploy is completed, it will unstash the YAML file. Okay, and then here in this part, so blue-green switch. So this is for deploy green. This is blue-green switch. So we have two different environments more nowadays, like in two broad reasons. Like they used to call like a blue-green. So what they do is like they will deploy the new version in the blue region. Then once that deployed, and then once they verify everything is looking good, then they will route the traffic from the green to the blue, and that will become as a green. And then if there is any failure, they will revert back to the green region. So that is the advantage, because it does not have any downtime and it reduces the risk as well. And that's the main, that is the reason for this deployment, blue deployment green. And then this part stage execute functional test. So this is used for running the functional test in our application. And then if there is any failure post syntax, it displays the failure and success. If there is any failure, what it does is it understands the YAML file name and then remove it. If there is no fail, if it is success, then it just cleaned up the YAML files. Yeah, that's the two things it does here. And then this is the final part, failure notification. This is if there is any Jenkins failed due to some reason, then here you can, it's a readable here, job name will never failed. And then it will send the email notifications for particular email ID mentioned here. Okay, this is the Jenkins configurations for the build and deployment. And then it does the sonar and then scans, vulnerability scanning as well. This is one thing. And then one more thing I wanted to show you, the logging part. So if you go under the source main Java, uh, full package, under package, get into this configuration folder. See here, you see the logging filter. So as we know that we have the filter for our application, Springboot applications. So we need to pass for anything. If you want to change anything, if you want to pass anything along with the request, so we do this using the log filter. So here we have the file name filter extends once per request filter. Each request, whatever the logic given here, this will be executed for each request. So here I have given the tracing ID. Tracing ID is nothing but to track the request. So particular request, if you have the multiple downstream applications, it needs to flow through all of the backend systems or like a downstream system. So we need to trace it. So what happened with the particular request? Here in this case, so we use MDC. MDC is nothing but analysis library. So that is this MDC is provided by the SLF4J. So we use, this is nothing but your thread local. So we just directly use MDC dot put. So we can use, this is like nothing but the key value pair. You can use the key as a tracing ID, and then the tracing ID is values nothing but the random UUID that you are generating here. If it is empty, then you can use UUID, that random UUID, to generate the tracing ID. Okay, once you generate it, then it will store it in the mdc.put. Use that put and then let's store it here. This happens for each request. This is one way to do it in your Spring Boot application. And then suppose like you can do this same MDC logging in the Spring Boot application this main file here itself. In case suppose you have a logging filter, suppose you might have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like more than one filters for your application. So we might miss it. We cannot put every filters this MDC that put. So to make sure that we are logging, we are propagating the tracing ID throughout the applications, we can use this in the Spring Boot applications main file itself. So we are using hooks. Project reactor. This is coming from the project reactor dependency. Okay, you can just use this propagation and then use the context registry to use the tracing key ID and tracing ID to put it in the here. You can use MDC that put here, just 2-3 lines of code here. This will be sufficient to propagate, to make sure that propagating the tracing ID throughout your applications. You can keep it in filter. If you are making sure that you have only one filter, if you're not sure you have more than one filter, means you can keep it in 1 or 2 filters, or else you can keep it here in this main application. So this will log your tracing ID. Okay, and then so now we want to display this in the log file. So in that log file, to do this in the log file, we are using logbag.xml file. So it is nothing but the rolling appender, as we know already. We can use configurations. Appender name is rolling file appender, and then these configurations we know already. File name and then encoder and then pattern. So this is where what this pattern does is, this will read the tracing ID from the MDC context through SLF4J. So and then it read it from there, and then it just put it in the log files. So every time like we can generate the log files in the logs folder, so that in that folder if you see that the tracing ID will be logged. That is the reason we are using this pattern. Okay, this is the one way to log the tracing ID. Okay, and then yeah, with this video I have only this much, and I will come up with another video for more topics. Thank you very much for watching my channel.